Welcome back to another episode of Crowd Control, where we talk about all the things that are going on in crowdfunding. It's been a couple weeks since I've been here.
Welcome back to you, David.
I'm glad to be back to talk about some of the things, one of which I actually saw firsthand in Thailand at CMON Expo.
Oh, yeah?
More on that.
Well, we can just start with that, because you were gone now. You might have seen David pop in. You did a piece from Thailand, which was very cool.
That is true.
The trip sounded amazing. But yeah, this was one of the big things they showed off at CMON Expo in Thailand.
Yeah, CMON Expo had a bunch of things going on, but one of the things they had there was a couple prototypes of Deceased. This is their latest campaign that just launched. I don't know how much longer it has, but it just launched last week, so it's probably got a little bit. This is what you'd expect. It is Zombicide, but now with DC. Much like Marvel Zombies, however, this one, from the get-go, has you playing as the remaining heroes that haven't turned effectively against the zombie hordes, including some zombie heroes.
Like Zombie Superman, I think I saw in the trailer.
Zombie Superman is one of the zombies. Superman is one of the zombies. I don't know who all the characters are who aren't zombies.
Batman?
I think
Batman would not get eaten into zombie infection.
I think Batman... Well,
he's got anti-zombie juice. Batman's got an anti-zombie suit of armor. He's fine. You know that Batman's fine.
We don't know who all the characters are, but they do have some... One note about the characters, looking at the miniatures, one of the characters was called Green Canary.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the character. I assume it's Black Canary, but after she maybe got a Green
Lantern ring. There was also a White
ring.
Canary, too, so like there could just be a Green Canary. I don't know.
Well, I would guess that she's got a Green Lantern's ring because the miniature uses looks like it's going to use a translucent green plastic as well. It's the only one on the campaign so far that does that, but...
I am not as up on DC as I am with my Marvel heroes, so I don't know who that is.
No, one other difference that they've brought, and I don't know if they brought this back because of feedback, because I know when we played Marvel Zombies, the one thing that I think you'd mentioned was like, oh, there's no equipment. And
it felt like it was missing.
A big part of the Zombicide experience. There is equipment. I don't know if it works exactly like Zombicide, but the equipment, the cards that I saw, looked pretty cool. They're kind of like epic level equipment in terms of like, oh, this makes sense for this character.
Well, these are humans and like we were playing Marvel Zombies. You play as the zombie, so it doesn't necessarily make sense for that zombie to like
give me a weapon
to be upgrading his weapons while he's eating people. I would love to see. I wonder if they can if you can use these Marvel zombies against the DC heroes and play your own little Marvel versus Zombicide style game.
I would say this. Knowing how licensors work, I'll bet they can't say that, but you might be able to. We don't know. I don't know if you can, honestly, but I wouldn't be surprised if they happen to work together since they both, work with
two different licenses.
I mean, there may be some differences in how things operate, but we'll see.
All right, so that's Deceased.
Yeah.
The one I want to talk about might be flying under the radar a little bit, but I think this one definitely deserves a lot of attention. It's called Machines to the Sky. This is another one of those games that
Steampunk?
It's a little
kind of?
It's more like retro 50s sci-fi.
Like BioShock sort of thing?
Kind of, yeah, like that kind of theme. It's sci-fi. You're building these arcs. It's called Machines to the Sky. The Earth is dying. It's like a dystopian Earth. Things are collapsing and you're trying to gather together what you need to build arcs to send these arcs out into space so that humanity can survive. The art style, it's phenomenal. It is. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call it BioShock, but it is that.
Though, right?
It is that mixed with that dystopian look. There's like one of the influences they said was Dr. Strangelove, and you can kind of see that in some of the art as well. And it's a gorgeous looking game, but the actual way the game plays looks really cool too, because it is an engine builder. You're building out your little factory or whatever, your ship thing, to build this arc, and you're going to be having to bid against other players for like tiles to bring into it. So you're all playing these different factions trying to build the best arc, competing with each other directly to bid for tiles that are going to then go into your engine. And again, it is an engine builder, so you're going to be firing off all the stuff and building out your little combos, which is something I really like in a game. And plus that mixture, like this sci-fi theme of going out to outer space, this building these arcs, it's a really cool looking package. There's a deluxe edition again that looks phenomenal. So
not a lot of pieces and parts to this game, though, right?
I mean, it's a lot of cards.
Yeah,
there are pieces. There's money and stuff like that.
It's not your traditional looking Kickstarter. I took a quick peek at it beforehand.
No, it's not.
Like a lot of player boards, main boards, and cards.
Right, it's player boards. There's some main boards that are tracks and stuff, and then there's a bunch of cards.
Yeah.
So like there isn't like a traditional main board like you'd find in like a worker placement
Sure.
game or something like that. This looks like it's pretty modular as far as how the setup goes. But yeah, this is one that we haven't gotten to try or see, but I'm hoping that they bring it to PAX U in a couple weeks because I would love to get hands-on with it and actually see what the gameplay is like.
Yeah, another one that uses mostly cards, but there are some pieces and parts, and this one is just about to end. That's Old King's Crown. I took a quick peek at this. I hadn't really looked at it. Neither of us had looked at it until just recently. The artwork is really cool, first and foremost. I can't imagine it's the person who did Aeon Flux, but the artwork gave me Aeon Flux vibes a little bit. Very colorful. But in this game, and I will try to do my best to describe it in the most general sense possible, it's one of those games where you're going to have cards in your hand, and then there's these different areas that you're going to be competing to collect cards from. I think those cards are locations. But like it goes by seasons. In the first season, everyone puts pieces out that kind of dictates, okay, here's where I'm going to be playing my cards. Maybe those pieces have some influence as well. Then you all play cards secretly, and then it's one of those reveal your cards region by region or area by area. And then those cards, depending on how they interact with each other, depending on how their initiatives fire off, people are going to win some of those locations and ultimately take those locations and their cards back on their player board.
That sounds cool.
Well, it sounds like one of those games that has a lot of mind games, which I wondered whether or not you would like. You're not a big fan of those, why would you play that, David?
Yeah, I'm not a... Is that a phrase you hear a lot? David, why'd you play that?
Why would you play that?
Why would you go there? That doesn't make any sense. No, I mean, I think for something like this, it works really well. I mean, there's a lot of games that we play like this, even, like something like Star Wars Rivals, anything where you're like, okay, well, here's my secret power, or even we put Evenfall, and you're flipping over your dial. So like, that idea of having that hidden information doesn't scare me away. It's just when that's the entire game.
Sure.
Is bluffing, like, there's a few games out there like that I'm terrible at, like Sheriff of Nottingham, where it's like 100% a bluffing game, and I cannot read anybody's bluff ever. I'm terrible at that.
I think you get into your own head.
I do. It's the Princess Bride situation.
Exactly.
If David wants this location, he has this card.
Is the poison in front of you?
Right. Which card did David play? But that's one that we've been watching for a while. We've been trying to kind of find space for it in crowd control, but
it's done well too.
It's done really well.
All of these campaigns are doing really well.
And we do have one more that we want to talk about that's launching, a big one that's launching this coming week. But before we do, we have another special guest. I want to hear a little bit from BoardGameCoffee.
Hello, all you MVM fans. I'm Mark Maia from BoardGameCoffee. And now the question was asked, what am I backing on Kickstarter? And now I know you guys already covered this, but Deceased is the big thing I've got my eye on. Why? For two reasons. One, I love zombies. I love the Zombicide series. That's kind of one. I love zombies. Let's make that one. I love comic books, and I love CMON. It's three reasons. It's more than two, regardless. So there's at least three, maybe two, 3.5 reasons. But I'm a huge comic book fan. I was there for the announcement. I was at the CMON Expo where they announced Deceased, and I was super excited. I love the detail of Superman's missing an arm, which ties in with the story of the comic book. That's excellent. Obviously, there's some liberties that have been taken because I don't want to ruin too many things for you, but let me just say that some characters that are quickly dealt with are around to fight for the side of good. Now, I don't want to ruin the story for you. You should read it. It's only like 6 issues. There's like a bunch of spin-offs, but go read the 6 issues. They're excellent. It gets you revved up for the board game. What I'm curious about is the world of Marvel Zombies is a lot lighter fare than the Deceased series. It's darker. It's less comical. I'm curious how it's going to be conveyed through the mission system. If they're going to seem like darker missions than what you'd see in Marvel Zombies. I don't know. So I don't know if that's going to be conveyed through that. I don't know if it needs to be. So here's the thing. Guaranteed. People have been speculating. Is it? Can it be merged with Marvel? Can DC and Marvel come together? And from what I've seen, absolutely. It looks like you can absolutely take Spider-Man and merge them with Batman and Superman, Captain America, and Hulk, and just get them all fighting each other, getting together. You can definitely do that from what I've seen. The system looks identical. Now, I can see why CMON wouldn't be promoting this because I've worked with a lot of licensed people in the video game industry, and they don't really like you to mention the competition. So, but hey, I'm not getting paid for anything, so I can say whatever I want. I'm just a free agent. And I like to wrap it up by saying that if you have played Marvel Zombies, this DC looks like the same thing, which is great because, we actually have a how to play for Marvel Zombies. And from what I've seen on the Kickstarter, they look pretty interchangeable. So watch that if you want to learn how to play. I'm pretty sure it'll be very close. That's, very close, if not the same thing, but with new characters, and new powers, which I like. So that's all. I can go on forever. So I'm going to stop now. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you, Board Game Coffee, always bringing a lot of energy to every video they do.
Because of all the coffee that they drink.
It must be. We didn't talk about that joke. Ryan just dropped that on the table right here in front of us. The last one we want to talk about is going to be a big game, speaking of things dropping on the table, and that is Nemesis Retaliation.
Have you ever heard of Nemesis?
Yeah, exactly. A, it's Awaken Realms. B, it's Nemesis. It's the third in the trilogy. I'm assuming this is the last one.
Yeah, I believe from everything that they've said and talking to Adam, it sounds like this is the last one.
Unless, of course, it makes $8 million.
Right. Let's see when the paychecks start coming in if they decide to do more. I mean, Nemesis, when that game came out, was groundbreaking for the time. The fact that it basically, and we just talked about this, like if you don't do an IP soon enough, somebody's going to make the game. Yeah. And this is effectively Alien, the board game. But Retaliation is effectively Aliens, the board game. Yeah. And if you know your sci-fi, you know that distinction is pretty big, actually.
Yeah, well, at least if you know the Aliens trilogy. This one takes the fight back to the Aliens, if you will. There's a whole new set of aliens, by the way, and I'm sure all of these are interchangeable, so you could probably use any aliens.
I would imagine, yeah.
But this one is you're more of the aggressor, and there's going to be, I think, more aliens. We do have a prototype that just arrived, so we're going to try to get some content up on this as soon as humanly possible. But the big twist here, or the big difference, is you explore more in this one because there's not just a big board. It's modular. There's rooms, there's hall tiles, and you're going to be building it as you go. So there's this whole deck, an exploration deck, and I'm not sure when this happens through the phases of the game, but you're going to flip one of these over when you move, and it dictates what you're going to be adding to the board. So it might be a hallway with a room, or it might be two hallways, or something like that. So the board is going to end up looking different a little bit every time you play. A lot of the rooms are going to be somewhat familiar, although I'm sure there are new ones. They've got all new artwork for a lot of this too, and a whole new cast of characters, and like I said, aliens.
Well, that's the big part for me is the characters, because in Nemesis and even the second one, Lockdown? Yeah, Lockdown was second. Yep. In both of those, you are playing just like the ground level people that worked at the station. You're playing the medic and the engineer and the janitor even, and your makeshift weapons and your items you're scavenging. These characters are like Marines. This is like the Space Marines coming in with guns and weapons and that takes a little bit of the survival aspect. But if you've seen Aliens, when you bring in the guns, they bring in the bigger aliens. So this is going to be more of a firefight.
They're thinking alien.
I expect this to be more. Well, and they've even said.
By the way, they don't call them aliens, right? They call them xenomorphs.
They do. Well, they call them xenomorphs in it. Yeah.
There's different branches of aliens.
But they're extraterrestrials.
Yeah. Extraterrestrials.
They're alien monsters, whatever.
Yes. Not of our world.
They're going to be stronger because you have more tools to fight them. So I still expect there to be that survival element.
Well, yeah, but they're not only stronger, but I get the sense that there's more of them. Based on the miniatures that we got a ton of the medium and not the littlest. The littlest seem like the fewest, but the medium and the large size, we got a lot of those. And from at least the campaign page that I saw, it looks like they're also going to be in the hallways this time.
They should be because,
they weren't last time, right?
No, but everybody remembers that famous scene of the motion detectors and the guns going off and the aliens coming from every direction.
And it sounds like you're able to fire into the hallways. You don't have to be in the hallways because I don't think you're ever in the hallways. You generally go from room to room. But it looks like there's going to be some combat where you can just kind of mow down a bunch of them in a hallway. When they're in a room, you're at a little bit more risk like you normally are. They've also added, and I haven't played Lockdown since we've had it in person. I played it on TTS.
I played it in person. I like Lockdown a lot.
Well, tell me if this is the case. The alien mother, the queen in this one, actually has a little bit more of an AI deck that happens.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Lockdown.
Isn't it just like the
Right,
rest
they're
of
just
them,
like the
right?
rest of the aliens.
Yeah, this one actually, when you encounter the queen, it's going to be a unique deck that kind of has a bit more of an AI flavor to
No,
it.
this feels good. Like this is the one I'm most excited about, honestly. Aliens is one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite space movies.
I mean, that is where a lot of people.
Like
I think.
it's such a great film, and like being able to bring that. And if there isn't at least one Game Over Man reference in Retaliation, I'm gonna be a little disappointed.
Hopefully, that's what it says. Like when you
lose, game over, man. Game over. No, but
this looks
that's
really
gonna be
big,
fun.
and yes, we are talking about it. Does it need our help? Absolutely not. This is going to be a huge campaign. In fact, probably one of the biggest, even for Awakened Realms standards, that they've had in a long time.
I mean, but people that are looking forward to it, you might not have realized it was launching this week, and it is. I think it's launching on Thursday. If you're watching this live when it drops on Monday, so yeah, I think it's gonna. I mean, it's gonna break records. I think it's gonna do better than any of the Nemesis games previously. So we'll see.
I would imagine there's a lot of people that are pot committed to the franchise at this point. But yeah, it looks really good. And one last thing that I wanted to mention, we won't spend a lot of time, but it's near and dear to my heart. Cryptozoic has actually brought Adventure Time Card Wars back for a campaign, which I don't think it originally launched as a campaign.
No,
I think it was just a retail product.
Wasn't it pre-Kickstarter almost? It was
don't
like
know
at least the early days of Kickstarter.
I don't know that it was
that game
that.
is pretty old.
It was a while ago, and there's an episode of Adventure Time. First of all, if you've not watched Adventure Time, watch it. You have our permission to turn this video off right now and watch all of Adventure Time.
David's big on Adventure Time.
But there's an episode called Card Wars, and this is the real life interpretation of that, and it is the funniest episode. If you're a gamer at all, you've got to watch at least that episode. And there's a classic card that's Floop the Pig. It's a thing that they do. It's in this game. That's
all David needs.
We have an old copy of this, but I might take a look at this campaign to see if they're doing anything new with it. I'm not sure if they are.
I don't know if they are, if it's just a straight reprint, but that is everything that we wanted to talk about for this week. Let us know in the comments below, because again, this is another huge week.
It is a big week. This might be one of the last big weeks. There's a couple more campaigns that I know of between now and the end of the year, but everyone kind of pushes
down
pause.
a little bit. Yeah.
No one. We've done some stuff in December. We've run our campaign in December. We're not this year. But I don't think many people run anything in December, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll be taking our own Christmas vacation.
We'll see. We might see a little tiny epic Cthulhu or something like that coming up.
Maybe. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Please comment below. Join our Discord. We'd love to talk about all of the crowdfunding games. But until we see you again, make sure everybody has fun at the table.
Bye-bye.